Hello and welcome to Football on 5. Clinton Morrison is here with me, as is Caroline Barker, for all the English Football League action that wasn't affected by the FA Cup. But it was a day when football remembered a true gentleman. A one-club man, and no achievement on or off a pitch ever changed his humility and groundedness. The world of football has paid its tributes to World Cup winner Jimmy Armfield, a footballer and a broadcaster of excellence. The Blackpool-Charlton game was called off today, which even further swelled the ranks of those who had planned to celebrate his life outside Bloomfield Roads. And they also filled the Jimmy Armfield stand in his honour as well. But more than a stand, a statue or any winner's medal, he was quite simply a lovely person. To today's goals, and our first action takes us to Ashton Gate, where it was back to championship business for Bristol City. The visitors QPR, your commentator Paul Walker.
Here's Reid. Cleared by Nedemanua. Flint. Well, they're giving this one away, and Baker was second favourite to win that ball. And he's left Josh Scowen in a heap, and this could well be the first booking of the day. You could see that Baker was struggling to make this. Dives in, nowhere near the ball, takes out Scowen. Oh, it's a red. It's a red card for Nathan Baker. Well, no one inside the ground was expecting the colour of the card to be red, and Bristol City, with 32 minutes played, are down to 10 men. Tossed into Furlong, cushion header down, and it's Scowen who sends it fizzing over the top. Well, Keith Stroud here, coming over to have a word with Lee Johnson. Obviously upset by the red card decision. And Keith Stroud having to step in and have words with the Bristol City head coach. Still 90 seconds or so to go in the first 45, and Patterson has earned Bristol City a free kick just outside the area here. And this time challenge there from Furlong. Driven in by Kent. And put behind by Furlong. Zizou! How on earth has he managed to flick that one home? Ryan Kent's corner for Mara Zizou. Managed to divert the ball into the opposite side of the net, and 10-man Bristol City lead against Queen's Park Rangers. Interesting to see what Bristol City's approach is now, having got themselves in front. This is Matt Smith, who had his legs taken away as he was lining up a shot there. And this puts Queen's Park Rangers in a great position. A perplexed look on the face of Aidan Flint. Sits up nicely for Matt Smith and gets caught by Aidan Flint. That's a good spot from Keith Stroud. Looks as though Josh Scowen might be lining up a shot here. Oh, it's one off the training ground and ferociously hit by Robinson. It was blocked though. This is Bidwell. Matt Smith right in the thick of the action, and Luongo threw himself at it. They're looking for a handball. Keith Stroud says no. Tossed in by Robinson. There's Washington, couldn't keep it in play. It's a goal kick, but right in the thick of things there was Matt Smith, who won the ball initially in the air, and there was a loud appeal for a handball. Certainly some vociferous appeals. Ryan Kent, Patterson driving through the middle if he wants to use him. He's found Corey Smith instead, who tried to nudge it through for Patterson. Smith again! Good save from Smithies. Ryan Kent leading the charge, finding Corey Smith. Got a second bite at it. And Alex Smithies fully extended to tip it away for the corner. And Lee Johnson, as you can see there, wearing a black armband as a tribute to his former chairman at Barnsley, Patrick Crine, who sadly lost his fight against cancer earlier this week. Those two were particularly close. Bailey Wright, too strong for Luongo. Corey Smith into Zizou, chance to bury one. It'll come back here nicely for Joe Bryan. Kisses the post and in. Bristol City take a 2-0 lead and surely on course for 3 huge points at Ashton Gate. Smithies does well to come out off his line quickly, but Joe Bryan plants the ball into the back of the net via the post. Came at a really good time as well, that goal for Bristol City, because in fairness to Queen's Park Rangers, they've been giving it a good old go and are threatening to get back into it. There's Smith, and still might get back into it. Well, Luke Steele having his palms warmed there by Ote. Scowen with the shot. Corner. Freeman's corner. Glanced away by Bobby Reid. Bidwell trying to tee up Luongo and diverted wide somehow by Nedamanua. Oh, that was a really good chance. Plumb central and wide from the skipper.
I think it was a huge win. Obviously, when you go down to 10 men, you always worry, but 0-0, our boys were fantastic. I think that is real character in action right there.
Once the second goal went in, we looked totally beat, and that's hard to accept, and that ain't good enough. So I'm fuming, and we'll have a big meeting about that on Monday. All I can say is well done to Lee Johnson. I thought his team did him proud. The club's moving forward, and I'm gutted, but I'd rather be honest, a better team won today.
The red card then for Baker, what did you make of it?
Well, I'll have to have a look at it. I think if you'd have given a yellow, I don't think anybody would have grumbled from the QPR end. He does tackle with full force, and that's the way he plays. But it was moving away from the goal. It was heading towards the touchline. For me, it's a yellow card and nothing more.
You see him given, you see him not. I don't think that was a genuine attempt to hurt someone. I think it was slippery. It's probably as slippery as I've ever seen here, and a yellow would have sufficed, in my opinion.
Of course, we can get back into the automatic promotion places. We respect the teams around us, but we've seen nothing to fear. We just want to match play with 10 men, and our players have played out their skin all season. They've got more minutes of championship football than anyone else in this division, and we've just been playing big cup games every other week. I'm looking forward to seeing 6 long-term injured players getting back into the team, and with a week's rest every week, we can beat anyone. We're on for this.
Rob, seems like a good night out, needs to be said. Let's get straight to the red card. I think when the opposition manager who benefited from it is saying it was probably a yellow, says it all.
Yeah, I think it was a definite yellow. It was forceful, and you can see his other leg catches him, but the QPR player don't help by rolling around, but he might have been badly injured, but he doesn't help Baker. But Baker's not that type of character. He does tackle forceful, but at best, that's a yellow card. It's never been a red card. Yeah. So I think the ref got it wrong there.
Listen, it almost feels like regroup and start a game for Bristol City with everything that's been going on. And one of the real bonuses for them is Zizou. I think this is a brilliant header for the first goal, and it's his first start as well since coming back from injury.
It's a very good header. The ball's behind him, and he gets a great header. And he'll bring Bristol City something different. He's a handful. Bobby Reid's been playing up front, but he's the big physical presence that you need, and it's a terrific header into the far corner.
Yeah. So many players involved in this goal. Brian finishes it, but this is the point. This blooming transfer window, teams that are punching above their weight like Bristol City, what a great job they're doing. Have to fend off these advances, you know. Had it with Flint, and Brian's got to be one they want to just wrap away
Yeah, he's been terrific, even on their brilliant cup run. He stood out, Flint stood out. That's why they probably get bids for people like that. Bobby Reid, he stood out as well. Yeah. So they've been terrific.
You know this cliche, Clinton, that is, you know, oh, the cup run would have affected them. Is that true? You've been in there on those. With the eyes being in the two Manchester clubs.
Yeah, at the back of your mind, for some players, you're thinking playing against Man United and Man City, two of the massive teams in the world. You always at the back of your mind thinking, do I want to go in for that? I'm not saying players do that, but at the back of your mind, you're thinking about the game and you don't want to get injured, because for some players, you might never play against them two magnificent teams again. Yeah,
first win in 8-0 competitions, right? With QPR, it felt to me like Ian Holloway's praise of Bristol City what he was actually implying is the opposite at the moment. QPR aren't moving forward. He needs more from the players. Did you get that as well?
Yeah, I did. He had a slight dig. He's like, it's not going well for him at the moment, so I think he needs his players to be behind him. But if you're going to come out and make comments like that, the players are not going to be happy. I think things like that maybe should keep it in-house. And he needs the fans on side as well. He's even been arguing with them recently.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more, right. On the way, Wolves fans have been howling at the moon recently after a couple of championship blips. They were looking to get back on track against the Tractor Boys. Meanwhile, Norwich were in the capital to take on Brentford, and hot property James Maddison, well, he was at it again. Welcome back. Championship leaders Wolves have enjoyed a spot of warm weather training in the Spanish sun this week. Lucky them. But was it enough to banish the Blues after 2 straight blanks and only 1 point from their last couple of outings? Caroline has the answer.
What did you last bring back from holiday? Actually, don't answer that. Wrong question to ask. Wolves, though, they brought back, apparently, photos of Tyson Fury and some vitamin D. But would it be enough to pep them up for the trip to Ipswich? These two teams, their last 4 league games, have just produced 1 goal. So, stand by for plenty. Ipswich went close early on, but we joined the action in the 15th minute on a fairly sticky pitch. Great movement from Wolves. Watch out for Douglas, Jota and Dye all involved. Barry Douglas, though, with a chipped cross, and Matt Doherty rising highest to put the championship leaders 1 up. Skip forward 10 minutes, and after Neves is brought down, Douglas steps up again. Not a bad save this from Bielkowski. His hand of that new 3-year deal keeping that one out. 5 minutes later, and it could or perhaps should have been 2, Helder Costa down the right. He picks out Jota. His first touch with his right, second with his left. Can't make it 2. Don't want to give you the impression that it was all one way. Ipswich did pose a threat in that first half. This on 44 minutes. John Ruddy also with chances to save. Selina picks out David McGoldrick, goes for goal. Ruddy tips it over for a corner. And indeed, the better of the second half early on was a gain from Ipswich, but Wolves should have really doubled their lead before the hour. Jota with the old 1-2, squares it to Costa on the splits, and he slips, and that proves costly. A couple of chances for Ipswich. This one on 70 falls to Martin Waghorn. He can only find the side netting. While for Wolves, Bonatini's quick feet, they've kind of been causing problems all afternoon. And on 80 minutes, makes some room for himself, and this shot is tipped wide. Then just a minute later, from the corner, cleared by the Ipswich defence, headed clear to Bright Inabakare. His volley is palmed away. 1-0 it finishes then. Wolves back to winning ways to go 12 points clear at the top. Wobble, what wobble, although plenty of relief on the journey home. Ipswich, though, perhaps on the slide.
I'm delighted with my lads the way they kept going. No ever any question about effort and application that they give me every week. Could we have a bit more quality at times? Yes, we could. Do better with the ball. But, you know, the result overall is a fair one, I would say. They deserve to win because Bart's made some great saves. Wolves haven't always had a lot of success here, so it's nice to be able to send home 1,800 fans very happy on their way back to the Midlands.
Fantastic, isn't it? Fantastic. I think the way they support us through the game and the way they are celebrating in the end says that they are together with the team, we are with them, and we thank them. We don't say, we cannot get tired of saying, but we have to keep going. We still have a long way to go.
Yeah, 12 points clear, as I was saying. What about for Ipswich then? Here's fan Ben.
Reasons for the slide down the table. Well, 5 wins on the trot at the start of the season was a bit of an outlier, to be honest. I think most Ipswich fans see it as just a simple regression to the mean, and we're probably going to end up pretty much where we should be. But Sunderland and Burton coming up, maybe a few more points. Things could change.
Yeah, and after that Sunderland and Burton game, we've got a small matter of a derby against Norwich.
Yeah, listen, Ben should do this job. He's absolutely bang right with Ipswich in terms of expectation. And on that word, forget the football. Caroline done the football brilliantly. Yeah. By the way, whiskey was the last thing I brought it back. I keep meeting Wolves fans, and they all ask me the same question. Is it going to happen? Do you think it's going to happen? It's so funny, the nerves. 6 years in the wilderness, a drop down to League One. I wrote in October that I thought they were going to win the division. I'm more sure now than ever. Reassure Wolves fans that this is just class, this team.
Yeah, 100% Wolves are going to win the league for me. But their last 2 games, it's not even a blip. They've drawn one and they've lost to Nottingham Forest and then they've won. So it's not a blip. Nuno's a terrific manager. The way that the team are playing and the players they've got, they'll be there or thereabouts. And I do believe they'll win the league comfortably. Yeah. What are they? They're 12 points clear at the moment. The team's got game in hand. It could go to 9. Wolves are a class act.
Yeah. From Ipswich point of view, again, this dreaded transfer window, it does my absolute head in. Anyway, our next match takes us to Oakwell, and a poignant afternoon for everyone associated with Barnsley Football Club after the passing of long-time owner Patrick Crine.
Heartfelt tributes at Oakwell, mourning the loss of the man who saved his hometown club. Patrick Crine stepped in 2003 and only relinquished control in December before losing his fight with cancer last week. Mr. Crine's beloved Reds were determined to honour him with a win. Stevie Mallon testing Marcus Bettinelli as the Yorkshire side made a promising start against Fulham, the Championship's form team. And just past the half hour, a contentious opener. Bettinelli adamant he was obstructed, but Scottish defender Liam Lindsay had his first goal since moving south of the border. Referee Andy Davis wasn't endearing himself to the travelling fans, who wanted a penalty when Ryan Sessegnon seemed to be tripped. The officials correctly decided it was outside the box, to the relief of Dimitri Cavaret, but that yellow card soon proved very costly. When the fullback was clipped himself as he launched into a driving run in first half stoppage time, he didn't take kindly to Stefan Johansson's challenge. The nasty clash of heads caused by Cavaret's shove was the Frenchman's final contribution. A moment of madness which left Barnsley to defend their lead a man light against a side that's been scoring for fun. Ryan Fredericks led the Fulham charge straight after the break. His run wasn't rewarded, but Sessegnon pounced to put them on level terms. The Londoners now firm favourites to win, yet with more than 90 minutes gone, they were still waiting for a decisive goal. Neeskens Cabano couldn't quite provide it, but right on the goal line, Kevin McDonald had the final say in the scramble. The midfielder on the score sheet for the first time in more than a year, which was enough to move Fulham into the playoff places. Though there was more to come, on the break, a second stoppage time effort took the club's tally to 22 goals in just 7 games, 7 of them scored by Sessegnon.
It was a difficult Barnsley side to break down today, even with 10 men, but we showed character, we showed resilience. 4 wins in a row, we are on top form and we don't look like it's slowing down anytime soon. Come on, Fulham.
Absolutely, and we'll get them in a second. 4 wins in a row for the first time this season. But if you're Paul Heckingbottom, you know, and you're 1-0 up in a game that you're underdogs in, and your player knows he's on a yellow, and 5 minutes later he does this, you must have those teacups in your hand walking down the tunnel at half-time.
Yeah, he's not only let down his manager, he's let down his other players, and he's let down the fans. It's silly. The ref's already dealing with it, and he's nearly pushed a guy, and the opponent's headbutt one of his own players. It's a silly decision, rash. He's probably only a young lad, but he'll learn from that. But he has let down his teammates, so hopefully he'll be giving them an apology.
After the highs of scoring last week as well. So I'm thinking you and I might want to form the Ryan Sessegnon fan club, because every time you're on, we're waxing lyrical about him, aren't we?
Yeah, this young lad's terrific, and I know Fulham fans won't want me saying this, but there'll be a lot of big teams in the Premier League looking at him. He's just so composed. Look at him, he just reacts there, hits the post, it comes. He's like a natural striker, but he's not. He can play left back or left wing, but when you push him further on, there, look, he has to watch it onto his feet. Some strikers would miss that, but he's watched it and just put it into an empty net.
He's clever, isn't he? Right place at the right time. Others doing great work in the build-up, but there he is every time, and he's on such form, a goal-scoring form at the moment. Another player, Tom Kearney, didn't go today. There's been a knee issue. You kind of said, look, I wanted him to go. He didn't want to go. And this gets back to this, whether he stays or not, West Ham are chasing him, but it's this head-turning January transfer window. Yeah, it can happen. Listen, he said he's got a knee injury. You have to believe the kid that he has got it. But Kearney is one of the best midfielders in the Championship. He's a terrific talent. So, you know, there'll be loads of clubs. Agents get into players' head and could tell him, oh, maybe missed a game. A bid's coming in for you. So, but he's got to just carry on doing well for Fulham, and something will happen for him eventually. Absolutely. And we will carry on now as well. 5 wins from the last 6 have taken Brentford to the fringe of the playoff places. Today they face Norwich, who need to turn a decent run into a sensational one if they want to close that 9-point gap on the top 6.
Keeping hold of James Maddison will also be essential for Norwich. This week a widely reported £12 million bid for the midfielder turned out to be fake news. But the player himself is very much the real deal. The quality of his 5th-minute opener here might yet persuade one of his many suitors to splash the cash. Brentford might be sympathetic. They were without Lasse Vibe here, whose absence suggested that a move away from West London might well happen. They could have done with his scoring touch on the end of Yohan Barbe's inviting cross. For a side that had won 5 of their previous 6, Brentford looks surprisingly vulnerable. Goalkeeper Daniel Bentley absolutely livid as Nelson Oliveira was given space to curl one onto the post. Going forward, Brentford created plenty of chances but had no one to finish them off. Florian Josephson was one of several players that found the target hard to hit. Sergi Canos was the guiltiest man. He should have had an equalising goal against his old club, but sent this attempted finish somewhere in the direction of Chiswick roundabout. Given his 7 goals in 8 games, it was hard not to think of what Vibe would have done for Brentford, who were heading for their first home defeat at Griffin Park since August. Ollie Watkins had their last chance, and if Bees fans were wondering how this one stayed out, the goalkeeper's reaction revealed all. Angus Gunn and Norwich delighted to be holding on to their most valuable assets.
It's important that we right now know, okay, in the second half of the season there were right now 6 games and we have 13 points. It's a brilliant average and we're in a really good shape, and I think we should enjoy this moment, and that we are able to plan pretty early for another season on this level, and everything what right now comes is additional and optional, and we're really enjoying this evening, this moment, and hopefully we can go on this shape.
Let's not forget Norwich have got a number of good players, you know, Premier League team a couple of years ago, and it felt certainly the second half a little bit like the Derby game here, where we're 1-0 down and camped in their half and just can't find a way through, and we got a last minute goal there. You know, felt we could have got one today.
The last time Brentford won it, the last time Brentford lost at home, I was there, which is why they won't let me back. I'm their official bad luck shot. And so to go there and get a win against Brentford the way they play at home was brilliant for Norwich. But Maddison is some pop when you put him on a coach and drive him to somebody else's ground. He's brilliant. I think, 4 times away from home, he scored the winning goal. 1-0. He's 1-0, and he's always scoring the winning goals. This is a tap in. That's never been a tap. Look at that finish. He's brilliant. He's a terrific player, and as I said earlier, there'll be a lot of scouts knocking on Norwich's door. He's just got that cutting edge and that X factor, and Norwich need to keep hold of him. Yeah, and defensively as well, away from home. I think that's might be 4 clean sheets in a row now. Listen, I know it's a change of manager, but looking at it from a fan's point of view, which I always do, you must be banging your head off the wall if you're a Norwich fan, because last season at home they were brilliant and rubbish away. This week, I mean, Birmingham have won more at home this season than Norwich, but they're amazing away, and if you know, one side of them is Premier League quality. Yeah, or maybe away from home they set up defensively and they're very solid and then they play counter-attacking football, and then when you've got a player like Maddison who can pick up the spaces, as you saw today, in a good space, and he's finishing, that's probably why they're winning more games. Absolutely, 2 seasons of contrast. Right, let's have a look at the table then. Wolves took advantage of second-place Derby not playing today to move 12 points clear at the top of the Championship. Bristol City are up to 4th, while Fulham are into the playoff places. Norwich were the only side in the bottom half to win today. What a win it was. They move level on points with East Anglian rivals with a capital R, Ipswich. So stay with us, because there's some great action, of course, still to come. We turn to Sky Bet League One next, and an eventful return to management for Chris Powell. But here's a health warning. Just ask Bradford Stuart McCall if he's enjoying it. Welcome back to Football on 5. League One is next, and Chris Powell made a return to management this week, replacing Phil Brown at Southend United. Top of his entree was a visit to high-flying Scunthorpe. Caroline has it all.
Yeah, Brown was off gardening. Powell was brought in to dig them out of trouble. Chris Powell, of course, 290 appearances for the Shrimpers, so if anyone can, surely it's him. Even Peter Shilton tweeted, "Good decisions," and safe hands should know. They need something. 7 defeats in 8 League One matches has left them just above the drop. The first shot of the game did fall to Southend, but the first goal went the way of the visitors after 12 minutes, after a mistake in the 6-yard box. Watch out for that. Kevin Van Veen with the cross. Tom Hopper nodding in for his 7th of the season. Or as Powell put it, welcome back to management. He demanded a quick response from Southend, and he got it. 17 minutes from the corner. Fortune digging that one out. Watson clawing it away. Then on 37 minutes, the equaliser was coming, but does he mean this? Michael Kitely swings in across from the left, goes all the way over Watson's head, in off the far post. First time he scored back-to-back league games in 11 months. Southend season then summed up in the space of a few minutes. First, Steve McLaughlin, what a shot that is, putting his laces through it. His side 2-1 up, and just minutes later from the corner, Wallace's effort from close range blocked, falls for Van Veen, his shot in off the underside of the crossbar. 2-2, and still drama to come. With minutes left, the game changed on a red card. Scunthorpe down to 10. That's Cameron Burgess with his 2nd yellow. Could they ride it out? And then just a couple of minutes after he's sent off, McLaughlin's low free kick parried by Watson into the path of Michael Turner. He slides it in at the near post. 3-2. 4 games without a win. Done. First win of 2018. Done. First game back and a win. Easy, this management lark, eh?
When you go 1-0 down early on, you're thinking, well, here we go again, you know, in the managerial world. But it's what you do, it's what you like. And if you put the right training into the players, and I'm on about not only physically but mentally, that they can overcome obstacles. And they did that not once but twice today. You know, they went 1-0 down and then got pegged back, and you know, everyone's thinking, well, it might be 2-2, take a point, but they kept going, and from a big centre half to come up and put it in the back of the net, brilliant.
Scunthorpe now 4 games without a win, but Southend up to 17th.
Absolutely. And listen, Phil Brown sat here and he said this is the year it needs to happen. It was a long plan for the club, and it didn't. So it wouldn't have been a surprise to him, the change. Chris Powell, the right man?
Yeah, listen, we always talk about people, but he is a nice guy, and a nice guy, and he deserves to be managing again because he's a very good manager as well.
Now, I know you hate talking about yourself. And
I do hate talking about myself.
And I know it was a defender scoring a last-minute goal, but is there a better feeling in football, especially for a striker with his ego? Do you know what I mean? Michael Turner, defender, but...
Yeah, it was a good... This was a good one, but yeah, it's no better feeling scoring in the last minute. I've done it numerous times. Probably the best time at Anfield when I scored against Liverpool. That was the most memorable. But now, happy for Michael Turner to score like that. It is the best feeling in the world to score a last-minute goal because you know there's no comeback.
Was it not an equaliser you scored against Liverpool?
Yeah, but I scored one earlier before that as well, so I just count it as a winner.
Okay,
to get a draw at Anfield is always a good one.
Never let the truth get in the way of a good story, Clinton. Right, I was there, that's why I know. With the hated him. With leaders Wigan, Dublin West Ham out of the FA Cup today. Second place Blackburn Rovers had the chance to close the gap to just 2 points. They were at home to Northampton, whose 3 straight wins have moved them out of the drop zone.
Blackburn manager Tony Mowbray highlighted their next 2 home games as a real opportunity to try and claim top spot in League One. So this was an opportunity missed. John Joe O'Toole's 4th goal in as many matches looked like it could set Northampton on course for a 4th win in a row. But Blackburn aren't unbeaten in 17 league games for nothing. The second half onslaught rewarded when Danny Graham scored his 10th of the season. There was still 16 minutes to find a winner, and Graham almost got it. Bradley Dack's form in front of goal has won admiring glances from Championship clubs this January. He was close to adding to his impressive showreel, but Northampton kept Blackburn at bay as they drop out of the top 2.
Shrewsbury would climb above Rovers if they could claim victory at Portsmouth. James Bolton's first goal for the club gave the Shrews the perfect start. 2018 hasn't gone according to plan for either of these 2 sides, especially Portsmouth, who couldn't believe their luck here. First, Ollie Hawkins' header was saved at point-blank range by Craig McGillivray. Then Pompey were denied what looked a clear penalty. Sean Whalley's handball spotted by everyone at Fratton Park, apart from referee David Coote. After 9 wins from 11, the new year has brought Portsmouth 4 defeats out of 5. But what can you do about luck like this? Brett Pitman's deflected shot hitting the bar. A frustrating afternoon for the home side ended with an injury time sending off. This foul earned Adam May a second yellow card and appeared to snuff out any remaining hopes of a Pompey revival. But there was still to be one last agonising near miss. Pitman's volley just inches wide. It just wasn't to be Portsmouth's day.
2018's not been much of a year for Bradford City, and only looked likely to get worse when Jimmy Abdu blasted Wimbledon into an early lead. A 4th successive league defeat already in the offing for a team winless since New Year's Day, and Bradford will think luckless too. Paul Taylor's second half shot, eventually turned in by Dominic Polian, seemed to have brought a ray of sunshine. But following a long consultation with his assistant, who reportedly didn't initially flag for offside, referee Jeff Outringham was persuaded the effort shouldn't stand, and the storm clouds were gathering again. Tottenham remained the only side to have breached that Wimbledon defence since the turn of the year. So Andy Barcham, finding the gap between Reuven Sattelmeyer's feet, threatened to be a moment from which there'd be no return for a home side that were doing themselves no favours. The game was up once Nat Knight Percival was caught in possession and comprehensively outmuscled by Cody MacDonald, whose strength in winning the ball wasn't matched by the power of the shot. Good enough though, and no doubt the final straw for Bradford manager Stuart McCall, sent to the stand 10 minutes later, still arguing about the City goal that was disallowed. As they fumed over more damage to their promotion hopes, MacDonald rounded off AFC Wimbledon's biggest away win since climbing into the EFL. A handsome 4-goal success.
It's a really good win for Wimbledon, but it's been common. Only Spurs have beaten them this month. There's no shame in that whatsoever. It does come from a very traditional place, though, doesn't it, with Wimbledon at the moment?
Yeah, defensively they've been strong. I think in the bottom half of the table, they've got the best defensive record. So, you know what they needed to do is bring players in who could put the ball in the net, and that's why they brought in that Joe Pigott, who's been banging them in the conference.
Yeah, absolutely. Listen, the tannoy, is that what you call it, at the end of the match, the loudspeaker, to give us his official name, played Road to Nowhere by Talking Heads. That was a bit of a low shot. It was a bad day for Stuart McCall. They're on a bad run, still sitting 5th in the division, but, you know, lost 6 of the last 8, and this is a bit of an Arsene Wenger moment, isn't it, sent to the stands?
You could see him, he didn't really want to go, Stuart McCall, but I think
he's going to go.
Where is he going to go? He's actually asking the ref, where can I sit? Do you want me to sit with the fans? And yeah, it's a bit disappointing. He's probably lost his head there, but the ref sent him to the stand. But yeah, they've lost 4 on the bounce, but I still think Stuart McCall's doing a terrific job. Yeah,
listen, Portsmouth had a decent Christmas, bad January so far. We talk a lot about Shrewsbury, so I'm not overlooking a win, but they just won't go away. It's so admirable, it's brilliant what they've been doing. Portsmouth can feel a bit hard done by. I don't know how you miss this penalty. Like,
I don't know how he missed this goal. Look, that is a blatant handball, and it's not even. He's got one hand up there and one hand up there. They've got both of them. It hits the left hand. Everyone can see it. Everyone's appealing, and I'd be angry if I was a Portsmouth player as well. I can't believe the referees missed that.
Yeah, Sean Whalley was the player. There was a Whalley involved, I think, in that decision, but it wasn't him. Right, more action from League One and 8 games in League Two's coming your way next, and you can file this one in the unwitting own goals column. Crawley's Jimmy Smith is probably still wondering quite how this happened. Hello again, 11 more games of football to come, and the first, the unfinished business in Sky Bet League One, starting with a reversal of fortunes as Oldham face Plymouth Argyle.
A new owner, but same old Oldham. Abdallah Lemsagams warned he won't be dishing out cash after finally taking control of the club on Friday, but something needs to be done to stop an alarming run of results. Anthony Sarcevic got Plymouth's first, as 2 goals in 2 minutes did for them. Shortly after, they were 2-0 up. Ryan Taylor kept out by Johnny Placide. Ruben Lamaris there to bundle in the rebound. Oldham's owner's a football agent, and he may be calling on a few contacts before the transfer window closes. closes. Craig Davis, who was off target here, is taking on big goal-scoring responsibility. When he was on target, he was kept out by the brilliant Remy Matthews. Davis may not have found the net, but it was his cross that gave Oldham a route back into the game. Some comedy defending from Jan Songo, resulting in an own goal. It wasn't enough to stop ever-improving Plymouth from completing their first double of the season. Matthews with more heroics to keep out Keane Bryan's header. Oldham winless in 9 in League One.
Another false dawn for John Marquis and Doncaster. Against Bristol Rovers, it took the striker less than 4 minutes to break his 11-game barren run in front of goal. But right from the start, this story didn't seem to be heading for a happy ending. Ian Lawler having to save from Chris Lyons after Donny were deficient in defence. In hindsight, though, it was this error upon which the match turned. Had Marquis not miscued in front of goal, Doncaster might well have ended a 5-game winless run. Instead, Bristol Rovers was soon back on level terms. Doncaster once again failed to clear, and in the aftermath, Ryan Sweeney equalised from close range. Undefeated so far in 2018, things were to get even better for the Gas. Rory Gaffney put them ahead shortly after the break. Doncaster's big chance to preserve their own unbeaten run came and went. Matty Blair with a head-in-hands moment. There's no stopping Bristol Rovers, though. Strangely, the departure of starman Billy Bodin seems to have galvanised them. The win here, sealed by the outstanding Ellis Harrison, is their 3rd out of 4 matches.
There's just no stopping Gillingham's gallop up the League One table, but they had to come from behind against Fleetwood to keep their winning run going after Paddy Madden's angled drive had given the visitors a 13th minute lead. But winning is habit forming, and the Kent side have been doing rather a lot of it lately. 8 minutes into the second half, they were level. Luke O'Neill's corner and a glancing header from Tom Eaves, the Gills' top scorer with his 11th league goal of the season. And number 12 would arrive in stoppage time. With the home side completely on top, Fleetwood were being stretched to breaking point. Callum Riley had been impressive throughout, and when he was tripped up, that sent Eaves to the spot as the game went into stoppage time. His emphatic penalty sealed Gillingham's 4th win on the bounce. Eaves raising the roof in the Rainham end.
Shrewsbury have moved back above Blackburn and into 2nd. They're now 2 points off league leaders Wigan. Gillingham are up to 10th thanks to 4 straight wins. At the other end of the table, wins for FC Wimbledon and Southend see them move up to 16th and 17th respectively. Sky Bet League 2 now, and Mansfield have squeaked into the playoff spots, losing just 1 of their last 15 matches. But they've drawn as many as they've won, so would it be a W, a D or an L as they headed to Morecambe?
It's fair to say Mansfield town manager Steve Evans doesn't mince his words, so one can only imagine his reaction to defender Christian Pearce's back pass that gifted Morecambe a first-half lead. Callum Lang with his 6th in his last 9 games. But Mansfield have shown real character in recovering from setbacks to win games of late. Danny Rose, who scored the 88th minute winner when the sides met just over a month ago, made it 1-1 with his 14th of the season. CJ Hamilton scored twice last weekend, having not scored in 43 league games before that. He's got a taste for it now and came within inches of finishing a move that he started. Now, Mansfield's Alex McDonald has been avoiding McDonald's this season. He admitted to losing a stone after starting a new fitness regime in the summer, and the extra stamina was there for all to see as he crossed for Malvin Benning to score Mansfield's stoppage time winner, their 2nd in as many matches.
It's great when your substitute comes on and makes a little toe on it and sends it into the net. So we're just pleased. This is a real tough venue to come and against a team that go toe-to-toe with the best in the league.
I'm extremely frustrated, angry, because it's a game that got away. You know, we can see the last kick of the game and in a game that we shouldn't have lost.
With Notts County kept occupied by the FA Cup, Luton had the chance to increase their League 2 lead to 9 points. Grimsby's Luke Summerfield provided the early reminder the leaders should take nothing for granted, though there were bound to be some scares for the home side, like the goal line clearance that Harry Cornick leathered towards teammate George.
Doubtless scrutinising replays at this very moment. Crawley might be flying high, but so too was Stanley, who came into this one with 4 straight victories behind them. Sean McConville has been among the goals, but not on this occasion. Crawley keeper Glenn Morris making sure of that. But the promotion hopefuls were offered away back into this one on 57 minutes with one of those comedy you couldn't make it up own goals. That's the luckless Jimmy Smith with the red face, and quite possibly a bit of a headache too. So it's 5 wins in 6 now for Harry Kewell's much improved side, who've also crept into the top half of the table. That result confirmed when Morris denied Liam Nolan's header late on.
What Nick said, followed by, 5 points outside the top 7 and a couple of wins against teams who they're chasing down. Credit where credit's due to a new manager, by the way.
Yeah, when Harry Kewell come in, I think there was a lot of raised eyebrows, thinking, is he the right man? And then obviously the start they had, everyone was thinking maybe should he lose his job, but he's done a terrific job, Harry Kewell. He's brought Crawley right into contention. OK, listen, Mansfield started the season as pre-season favourites. It took a while to get going, but now they are. Can't stop them. They're flying. In their last 16, they've won 8, drawn 7 and lost 1, Cole. That is a terrific run. But they've got the right man there. Steve Evans is a terrific manager, especially at these lower levels. And they brought in a lot of good players as well. Yeah, because they were the second-best team in the first half of this, but he made 2 brilliant substitutions. And we have more last-minute glory. Don't you talk about scoring against Liverpool. No, I won't, but this was a bit scruffy. I don't score scruffy ones, Cole, but yeah, it was a scruffy right foot finish from Benning, but now you have to be in there in the right place to score. And as I said, that's what Steve Evans installs in Mansfield players. Keep going right to the bitter end. Yeah, they've only lost 2 in 23 in all competitions, so absolutely on the charge. And good to see Luton winning a bit ugly today, down to 10 men. I've seen them that many times this season score 7 or 8. Yeah, Luton are terrific. I think probably the best team in the league, and they'll go on and win it. They've done ever so well, and the manager, Jones, deserves a lot of credit. OK, top man Clinton, always good to have him in the studio, but we've still got 5 more games to finish your Saturday night of Football League action here on Channel 5. And kicking them off is bottom club Barnet's trip out west to face Cheltenham.
Rock-bottom Barnet belied their truly atrocious away form as early as the 2nd minute. Keeper Scott Flinders seemingly stuck in Gloucestershire mud as a header from Ricardo Santos eluded him. That was the Portuguese defender's first goal in over a year. But the beleaguered Bees couldn't hold on to their advantage. And 20 minutes into the second half, Mo Issa's 14th goal in all competitions restored parity. Barnet have asked manager Graham Westley to save their season. Now, it's safe to say that Westley's style doesn't win him too many popularity contests around the league. With the Robins pressing for a winner, Cheltenham's Fulham loanee Elijah Adebayo took exception to Westley attempting to field a loose ball. Only one winner in that shoving match, and frankly, much ado about nothing. Westley and Barnet were still standing as Adebayo tried to find the knockout blow where it really mattered. A late chance which was foiled by keeper Craig Ross. Cellar dwellers Barnet now winless in 7.
At Brunton Park, swirling winds added to Forest Green's problems, which were plentiful once Jamie Devitt had given Carlisle the lead. And this incident didn't help either. Remember a fortnight ago when Mark Cooper accused his top scorer Christian Doidge of diving? Was that in the referee's mind when Doidge was denied what looked a clear second-half penalty? After that, there was no avoiding a 5th straight-away league defeat. Forest Green escaped further punishment from Luke Joyce here, but was still sick to the stomach upon the final whistle.
Horrible afternoon with the weather. Difficult to get any real quality. Very little between the 2 teams. And frustrated that we've come out with nothing. My top scorer, has he dived again? No. It's a blatant penalty. There's not even a doubt about it. The linesman's 15 metres away and the ref's 10 metres away. He's either got to book Christian Doidge or he's got to give a penalty and give a red card.
Hovering just above the bottom 2, Chesterfield hope to end the month feeling marginally more confident about their survival prospects. But Danny Newton, heading against the post for Stevenage, was the first sign the Spireites' day might not shape up as they planned. The home side's hump for a 3rd successive league win hit a serious setback early in the second half, when Aaron Ramsdale's mistake was a gift for Ben Kennedy. His first goal since October for a club who'd waited even longer for an away win. At the 10th attempt, a run stretching back to September, Borough tasted success on the road, though Newton may still be feeling a little frustrated.
Swindon's new signing Mark Richards had a spell on loan at Crewe 17 years ago. The veteran striker took just 3 minutes to mark his home debut with a first goal in 23 games. But the only thing predictable about Swindon this season is their unpredictability. The best away record in League Two, the second worst at home. Callum Ainley drawing Crewe level. Swindon looked vulnerable at the back and Crewe's youngsters came close to a brilliant second. Charlie Kirk's first-time volley hitting the post. When Richards was scoring for Crewe, the likes of Kirk and Ainley were just 3 years old. The pair combined as the Railwaymen steamed into the lead. Ainley with the first double of his career. Crewe looked on course for victory early in the second half when Ryan Wintle scored a controversial second goal of his career. Jordan Bowery's effort squirmed away from goalkeeper Rhys Charles Cook. No foul, said referee Graham Salisbury, so Crewe 3-1 ahead. Swindon's Timmy Elsnick was also in nappies when Richards was starting out. The teenager on loan from Derby was teed up by him to pull a goal back. Now watch at the bottom of your screen here. The referee played advantage as Zumana Bakayoko threw himself into a challenge. Keshi Anderson and Kellen Gordon combined down the right to cross for Elsnick to equalise with 11 minutes remaining. Bakayoko's tackle hadn't gone unnoticed though. He was already on a booking and was sent off for the first time in over 7 years. Proof there's no substitute for experience as 36-year-old Matt Taylor came off the bench to cross for 35-year-old Richards to make it 4-3. Always respect your elders.
Two teams yet to register a victory between them this calendar year. Slugged it out on a pudding of a pitch, and it was visiting Colchester who struck first. Courtney Senior's effort bobbling its way into the bottom corner seemingly in slow motion. Vale have cooled off alarmingly in January after a red-hot December and find themselves in danger of getting dragged back into the relegation mire. But David Worrell's well-placed effort had them level on 33 minutes. Normally a creator, this was just Worrell's second goal of the season. But Vale were clearly caught thinking about that half-time cup of tea deep into first-half stoppage time. Sammy Smodic seemed to be the only man paying attention. His cross set up Dre Wright's first goal in 14 months. Colchester back on the boil. And maybe teacups got thrown around in the dressing room after that, because Vale were much improved in the second half. Anton Forrester almost brought them level, only to be denied by Sam Walker's smart low save. But Colchester were hanging on now, and with the clock ticking, their resistance was finally broken. Luke Hannant's shot went into a crowd of players where Worrell had the decisive final touch. For anyone who's counting, Vale are now winless in 5. Colchester's barren run extends to 6.
So here is the table. Luton are now 9 points clear of Notts County at the top of it, while Mansfield have jumped from 7th to 3rd. Accrington are down to 5th. And at the foot of League Two, Barnet's draw closes the gap on Forest Green to just 4 points. The only sides to taste victory in the bottom half today were Stevenage and Carlisle. Clinton, pleasure as always, mate. We'll leave you with the team who've been flying the EFL flag in the Carabao Cup. They pushed Manchester City all the way, and today Bristol City pepped up their promotion prospects once more. Good night.